My daughter-in-law had no idea she was screaming useless at the woman who secretly owned the bank that issued her platinum credit cards, controlled the investment fund that paid her husband's salary, and held the mortgage on the luxury house she thought she'd earned through her own success, while the elderly mother-in-law she considered a financial burden was actually the anonymous benefactor, whose private wealth management had been funding their lavish lifestyle for 8 years, and whose quiet phone call to her personal banker would transform their $15,000 monthly credit limit into a declined transaction for a cup of coffee within 24 hours of her cruel declaration that I was too old and useless to understand modern finances. Before we dive into this incredible story of family greed meeting financial reality and the investment empire, my ungrateful daughter-in-law never knew was controlled by the woman she dismissed as outdated and irrelevant. Make sure to hit that like button, drop a comment, telling me about your worst experience with in-laws, who treated you like a burden while living off benefits they never realized you provide, and subscribe, so you never miss stories like this one about what happens when entitled family members assume elderly relatives have nothing left to offer, only to discover just how catastrophically wrong they can be when family disrespect meets generational wealth that could disappear with a single phone call to the right financial institutions. My name is Eleanor Blackwood. I'm 74 years old, and this story begins on March when my son Michael brought his wife of 3 years, Sophia, to my modest townhouse in Lexington, Massachusetts, for what I assumed would be a pleasant family dinner, but instead became the moment when my daughter-in-law revealed her true character and triggered the most expensive lesson about respecting elderly relatives whose quiet dignity concealed an investment portfolio worth $127 million and the financial influence to control every aspect of their comfortable suburban lifestyle with the discretion that comes from 5 decades of strategic wealth building and the wisdom to remain visible until ungrateful family members force you to remind them who actually holds the power. But to understand how Sophia, a 32-year-old marketing executive earning nominally at a Boston consulting firm, while living in a $1.2 million home in Newton, and driving a BMW that she believed represented her professional success, ended up facing financial devastation and social humiliation within 48 hours of calling me useless and outdated. You need to know was before my carefully maintained image as a simple retiree, living on a teacher's pension, concealed the private equity empire and investment network that had been quietly orchestrating their prosperity while they assumed their comfortable lifestyle was the natural result of hard work rather than understanding the systematic financial support that had elevated every aspect of their lives from struggling newlyweds to affluent suburbanites. This transformation from respected educator to financial powerhouse began in 1979, when my grandmother, Catherine Ashford, left me a modest $50,000 inheritance that most people would have deposited in a savings account or used for home improvement. But I saw something different in those funds. I saw the mathematical foundation for what would become one of New England's most successful private investment operations, built on principles of compound growth, strategic patience, and the analytical skills that 42 years of teaching advanced mathematics had sharpened to perfection. While my colleagues were discussing mortgage rates and retirement planning, I was studying market patterns with the same methodical approach I used to teach calculus and statistical analysis to high school students. I approached investing like solving complex mathematical equations, breaking down variables, analyzing patterns, calculating probabilities, and most important, understanding that sustainable wealth required the same patience and systematic methodology that made mathematical theorems endure across centuries of academic study and practical application. The first investment that established my reputation in financial circles came in 1981 when I identified an undervalued manufacturing company in Springfield, Massachusetts, that specialized in precision instruments for medical equipment. While other investors focused on glamorous technology stocks and speculative ventures, my mathematical analysis revealed that this modest company possessed patent portfolios and engineering expertise that would become essential as healthcare technology advanced throughout the following decade. I invested $15,000 of my inheritance in what appeared to be a struggling regional manufacturer, but my analysis had identified management competence, technological advantage and market positioning that suggested extraordinary growth potential for patient investors who understood the mathematical relationship between innovation and long-term value creation. That investment, which seemed modest and conservative to financial advisors who preferred more aggressive strategies, would eventually return over $2.8 million as the company grew into a major supplier for medical device manufacturers throughout North America. But that first success taught me the most important lesson of wealth building. Mathematical analysis combined with patient strategic thinking could identify opportunities that escaped both emotional investors and conventional wisdom. I learned to ignore market trends and popular investment advice, focusing instead on fundamental business analysis and mathematical modeling that revealed true value regardless of temporary market fluctuations and investor sentiment that drove most portfolio decisions. By 1985, my investment portfolio had grown to over $200,000 through systematic reinvestment and strategic acquisitions that I researched with the same thoroughness I applied to mathematical proofs and academic curriculum development. I wasn't gambling or speculating. I was building wealth through mathematical principles and strategic analysis that eliminated emotional decision-making and focused on sustainable business growth and value creation that could weather economic cycles and market volatility. The establishment of B. Capital Management in 1987 represented my formal entry into private wealth management as a recognized institutional investor with sufficient capital to access investment opportunities, typically reserved for major financial institutions and ultra-wealthy families. The name E deliberately obscured my identity. Most business partners assumed they were dealing with a male executive or institutional investment fund, rather than understanding that their strategic advisor was a high school mathematics teacher who applied classroom analytical skills to financial markets. Extraordinary success. This anonymity became my greatest strategic advantage in a financial industry that often dismissed individual investors, particularly women, regardless of their analytical competence or investment performance. By maintaining capital as an apparently institutional investment entity, I gained access to private equity opportunities, strategic business partnerships, and financial networks that would have remained closed to a public school teacher seeking investment opportunities through conventional channels. My investment philosophy centered on acquiring undervalued businesses and properties in economically stable regions throughout New England, focusing on companies that served essential community needs, rather than speculative ventures that promised dramatic returns but lacked sustainable business model. I specialized in manufacturing companies, regional financial institutions, healthcare service providers, and commercial real estate that provided steady returns while supporting employment and economic development in communities throughout Massachusetts, Connecticut, and Vermont. The mathematical approach that guided my investment decisions included detailed financial modeling, demographic analysis, and economic trend evaluation that most individual investors never attempted or understood. I spent evenings and weekends analyzing quarterly reports, studying municipal development plans, researching industry trends, building comprehensive databases that tracked business performance across dozens of potential investment targets, with the systematic methodology that had made my mathematics curriculum among the most effective in the Lexington School District. During the 1990s economic expansion that created unprecedented growth opportunities throughout New England, my investment portfolio expanded through strategic acquisitions and business partnerships that positioned E. Capital as a significant force in regional financial markets. While other investors pursued aggressive growth and leveraged financing that would later prove catastrophic, I maintained conservative investment practices that emphasized sustainable business growth and debt-free expansion strategies that could weather economic downturns and provide steady returns regardless of market conditions. One of my most successful investment strategies involved acquiring minority stakes in regional banks throughout Massachusetts and New Hampshire, including a significant investment in Meridian Trust Bank that began in 1992 when the institution needed capital for expansion but wanted to maintain independence from larger financial corporations. My $3.2 million investment provided the development funding they needed, while giving me strategic influence over lending policies and business development decisions that would benefit both the bank's profitability and community development throughout their service region. This banking relationship proved essential not only for investment returns, but also for accessing financial services and business intelligence that enhanced my other investment activities. As a significant shareholder and strategic advisor to Meridian Trust, I gained insight into regional economic development, business lending trends, and community financial needs that guided my investment decisions and provided early access to business opportunities throughout their expanding market territory. The commercial real estate investments that became a cornerstone of my portfolio development included strategic acquisitions of office buildings, retail centers, and industrial facilities throughout the Route 12 neighborhood. These properties provided steady rental income while appreciating significantly as Boston's economy grew and technology companies expanded throughout the region during the internet boom and subsequent economic development. My approach to real estate investment emphasized long-term value creation through strategic property improvement and tenant relationship building, rather than speculative buying and quick resale strategies that characterized much of the commercial real estate market during the. I focused on acquiring well-located properties from motivated sellers, investing in strategic improvements that enhanced tenant satisfaction and property values, and building relationships with quality tenants who needed stable professional business facilities for their operation. The tenant base that I cultivated through superior property management and strategic location selection included technology companies, healthcare providers, professional services firms, and manufacturing companies that provided steady rental income while contributing to regional economic development and employment creation throughout Massachusetts. These relationships often led to additional investment opportunities as successful tenant companies expanded and needed capital for business growth and development. My real estate portfolio included controlling interests in 18 commercial properties throughout the Boston metropolitan area, generating over $2.1 million annually in rental income while appreciating at rates that exceeded both inflation and stock market returns during the same period. The combination of steady cash flow and property appreciation provided financial foundation for continued investment expansion and business development that established EB Capital as a major force in New England commercial real estate markets. The 2001 economic recession and subsequent market volatility that destroyed countless investment portfolios actually strengthened my financial position through strategic acquisitions of distressed properties and careful support for quality businesses that needed capital to weather temporary economic difficulty. While other investors panicked and liquidated holdings at devastating losses, my mathematical analysis and conservative investment principles allowed me to identify exceptional opportunities for patient investors willing to support sound businesses through challenging economic periods. During this period, I coordinated emergency bridge financing for 12 different companies in my investment portfolio, providing the capital they needed to maintain operations and employment while restructuring debt and improving efficiency. This strategic support not only preserved my investment value but also strengthened business relationships and established my reputation as an investor who prioritized long-term business success over short-term profit maximization during economic uncertainty. The business relationships that I developed through strategic crisis management created a network of successful companies and business leaders who sought my consultation on expansion planning, acquisition strategies, and business development decisions that required sophisticated financial analysis and strategic thinking. These consulting relationships provided both additional income and access to investment opportunities that enhanced my portfolio performance, while supporting regional economic development and business growth throughout New England. My investment in technology companies during the early 2000s focused on established businesses with proven revenue models, rather than speculative startups that promised revolutionary returns but lacked sustainable business fundamentals. This approach allowed me to benefit from technology sector growth while avoiding the catastrophic losses that eliminated billions of dollars in speculative technology investments during the dot-com collapse and subsequent market correction. One particularly successful technology investment involved a software development company in Cambridge that specialized in financial analysis tools for institutional investors and business management applications for regional companies. My $1.8 million investment in 2003 provided expansion capital that allowed the company to develop new products and expand their client base throughout the financial services industry, eventually generating returns that exceeded $12 million when the company was acquired by a major technology corporation. The healthcare investments that became another cornerstone of my portfolio included strategic stakes in medical device companies, healthcare service providers, and pharmaceutical research firms that served growing markets throughout New England and beyond. These investments provided exposure to demographic trends and healthcare industry growth while supporting medical innovation and healthcare service development that benefited communities throughout the region. My approach to healthcare investing emphasized companies that served essential medical needs, rather than speculative ventures that promised breakthrough treatments but lacked proven efficacy or regulatory approval. This strategy provided steady returns while supporting healthcare providers and medical technology companies that improved patient outcomes and reduced healthcare costs for individuals and families throughout Massachusetts and surrounding states. The financial services investments that rounded out my portfolio included stakes in insurance companies, investment management firms, and financial technology companies that served regional markets and provided essential services for businesses and individuals throughout New England. These investments provided both diversification and insight into financial industry trends that enhanced my overall investment strategy and business development decisions. By 2008, when the financial crisis devastated global markets and eliminated trillions of dollars in investment value, my portfolio had grown to over $89 million through systematic reinvestment and strategic business acquisitions that emphasized sustainable growth and conservative financial management. The crisis that destroyed countless investment portfolios actually provided exceptional opportunities for patient investors with available capital and the analytical skills to identify undervalued businesses and properties from distressed sellers. During the 2008-2010 economic crisis, I coordinated strategic acquisitions worth over $23 million, purchasing distressed commercial properties and acquiring controlling interests in sound businesses that needed capital to survive temporary economic difficulty. These acquisitions, purchased at significant discounts from pre-crisis values, would eventually generate exceptional returns as economic recovery restored market values and business profitability throughout the region. The systematic approach that guided my crisis period investments included detailed analysis of business fundamentals, debt structures, and recovery potential that distinguished temporary difficulties from fundamental business problems. I focused on acquiring assets from sellers who needed immediate liquidity rather than companies that faced structural business challenges or market obsolescence that would prevent eventual recovery and growth. My support for portfolio companies during the financial crisis included emergency financing, strategic consulting, and business development assistance that preserved employment and maintained operations while restructuring for improved efficiency and market position. This support not only protected my investment value but also contributed to regional economic stability and employment preservation during the most challenging economic period since the Great Depression. The recovery period from 2010 to 2015 validated my crisis period investment strategies as economic growth resumed and my carefully selected acquisitions appreciated dramatically while generating increased income through improved business performance and property occupancy rate. The businesses and properties that I had supported through the crisis emerged stronger and more profitable, providing the foundation for continued portfolio growth and investment expansion. By 2015, my investment portfolio had grown to over $118 million, generating annual income exceeding $8.2 million through dividends, rental income, and business distributions that provided both personal financial security and capital for continued investment expansion. The mathematical approach that had guided my investment decisions for over 3 decades had created a financial empire that few individual investors ever achieve, while maintaining the secrecy that protected both my privacy and my family relationship. The business network that I had developed through strategic investing and superior analytical performance included CEOs, financial executives, municipal leaders, and investment professionals who sought my consultation on complex business decisions and valued my insight on market trends and economic development opportunities. These relationships provided both business intelligence and access to investment opportunities that enhanced my portfolio performance while contributing to regional economic development throughout New England. During this period, I also began strategic philanthropy through anonymous donations and educational funding that supported mathematics education, financial literacy programs, and scholarship opportunities for students pursuing business and finance education at regional colleges and universities. These charitable activities provided both tax advantages and community impact while maintaining the anonymity that protected my privacy and family relationships from unwanted attention or requests for financial assistance. The investment management responsibilities that had grown along with my portfolio required increasingly sophisticated coordination with financial advisors, tax specialists, business attorneys, and investment professionals who manage day-to-day operations, while I maintained strategic oversight and final decision-making authority. This management structure provided professional expertise while preserving my control over investment strategy and business development decisions that determined portfolio performance and growth opportunity. But throughout all these years of investment success and wealth accumulation, I had maintained complete secrecy about my financial empire and business relationships, had known about my investment activities, and contributed his economics expertise to my business analysis. But even he had never fully understood the scope of my business network or the extent to which my investment success had been supporting our family's lifestyle and creating opportunities for Michael's educational and professional advancement. Michael had grown up completely unaware that his comfortable academic lifestyle, educational opportunities, and family advantages had been quietly supported through investment wealth and business success that most academic families could never access or achieve. My son had internalized his opportunities as natural consequences of hard-working parents and academic excellence, rather than understanding that his advantages had been created through strategic wealth management and business success that required appreciation and respect for the elderly relatives whose life work had created opportunities for younger generations. The careful secrecy that had protected our family relationships and maintained my privacy had also created a dangerous situation where Michael, and especially his wife Sophia, had never learned to appreciate elderly relatives or understand the importance of family respect for older generations, whose experiences and business relationships might conceal resources and opportunities that could change family fortunes forever. They had assumed that their comfortable lives were permanent and their financial security was self-generated, rather than understanding that family prosperity often required family relationships and respect for elderly relatives, whose true financial influence might not become apparent until family disrespect triggered consequences that revealed the importance of treating older family members with dignity and appreciation. For 42 years, I was Eleanor Blackwood, dedicated high school mathematics teacher at Lexington High School, and devoted wife to Robert Blackwood, who served as a respected professor of economics at Boston University. Our combined educator salaries and careful budgeting had supported our family through what appeared to be a typical middle-class academic lifestyle, raising our son Michael, who assumed his comfortable childhood, private tutoring, summer enrichment programs, quality education, and reliable family stability had been funded through typical academic salaries and standard educator benefits, rather than understanding that his opportunities had actually been created through my secret relationship with the private investment world, where I had been quietly building a financial empire since Nine Capital Management, whose diversified portfolio and strategic partnerships I had been managing through discreet wealth building that transformed a $50,000 inheritance from my grandmother into a sophisticated investment network worth over 100. Capital management wasn't just some modest retirement account or conservative investment strategy, it was a carefully orchestrated private equity operation that included controlling interests in 12 mid-sized companies throughout New England, substantial holdings in 3 regional banks including Meridian Trust, where my daughter-in-law maintained her precious credit accounts, strategic partnerships with 4 major real estate development firms, and a diversified investment portfolio that generated over $8.7 million annually in dividends, capital gains, and management fees that required constant coordination with financial advisors, investment manager, and business development specialists who managed the day-to-day operations of my extensive financial holdings. But my success hadn't come from luck or inheritance alone. It had been built through decades of meticulous market analysis, conservative investment principles, and systematic relationship building with financial professionals, business executives, and investment coordinators who understood that sustainable wealth creation required patience, strategic thinking, and commitment to long-term value building, rather than speculative trading and short-term profit maximization that destroyed less carefully managed investment portfolios during economic downturns and market volatility. I wasn't just Michael's elderly mother with teaching background, I was a strategic investor whose mathematical expertise and analytical skills had been quietly applied to financial markets for over 4 decades, building relationships with investment professionals who respected my market insights and sought my consultation on complex portfolio management decisions that required both technical expertise and intuitive understanding of economic trends and business cycle management that most individual investors could never develop or appreciate. My responsibilities encompassed reviewing quarterly financial reports from portfolio managers who supervised my equity holdings and business partnerships, analyzing market data and economic indicators that guided investment decisions, coordinating with business executives and development teams who managed my corporate investments and strategic partnerships, and implementing the wealth management strategies that had transformed modest educator savings into a financial empire that provided both personal security and the ability to influence the financial well-being of family members who had never understood the source of their remarkable prosperity and lifestyle advantages. During my teaching career at Lexington High School, I had carefully compartmentalized my professional education responsibilities and my private investment management duties, handling portfolio coordination during evenings, weekends, and summer breaks, when my teaching schedule allowed focused attention on market analysis and business development projects that required sophisticated mathematical modeling and strategic planning. My colleagues and family assumed my evening phone calls and weekend paperwork represented typical teacher responsibilities, grading papers, lesson plan, parent communication, rather than understanding that I was actually coordinating million-dollar investment transactions and business partnerships that required constant communication with financial professionals throughout New England. The complexity of managing a private equity empire while maintaining my teaching career and family responsibilities had required extraordinary organizational skills and strategic thinking that most people couldn't comprehend or appreciate. Market opportunities didn't respect school schedules or family dinners, and investment decisions often required immediate attention that conflicted with parent-teacher conferences and academic obligations. I had learned to balance portfolio management with classroom instruction, coordinate at business meetings during school holidays, and handle financial decisions between teaching responsibilities and family commitments that required constant prioritization and strategic time management. My teaching salary at Lexington High School had provided our families apparent primary income and social identity within the academic community, but the real financial foundation for our comfortable lifestyle had been quietly supplemented through investment returns and business profits that I shared strategically to support family advancement, without revealing the true source of our financial stability and educational opportunities that distinguished our family from typical educator households. The modest faculty housing where we had raised Michael wasn't purchased through academic salaries alone.
It had been acquired through investment profits and strategic financial planning that allowed us to build equity in one of Massachusetts' most desirable school districts, while maintaining the appearance of typical educator success rather than revealing wealth that might have created complicated family dynamics and unrealistic expectations about money and financial security.
Looking back now with the clarity that comes from watching entitled family members reveal their true character through their treatment of elderly relatives, they consider financially irrelevant and socially outdated, I can see that Sophia's assumptions about my limited understanding of modern finances and her dismissive attitude toward my life experiences weren't sudden judgments formed during casual family conversations. They were carefully calculated assessments based on her belief that elderly mothers-in-law represented obsolete thinking and financial ignorance that successful young professionals could manage through patronizing tolerance and occasional courtesy visits without understanding the sophisticated investment strategies and business networks that had been quietly funding every luxury and advantage they considered evidence of their own professional competence. Modern financial savvy. What Sophia didn't know, and what she would discover in the most devastating way possible within 72 hours of calling me useless and financially clueless, was that the modest townhouse in Lexington where I served simple meals and maintained traditional decor was actually the strategic command center of one of New England's most sophisticated private investment operations, whose portfolio diversification and business partnerships had generated the financial foundation that elevated every aspect of their lifestyle from typical middle-class struggling to affluent suburban comfort they attributed to their own professional achievements, rather than understanding the systematic wealth management and business coordination that had distinguished their opportunities from other young couples beginning their careers in competitive professional markets. The comfortable living room where Sophia would soon reveal her true character, furnished with traditional pieces that reflected my preference for understated elegance rather than flashy wealth display, contained the same analytical capabilities that had coordinated investment decisions worth hundreds of millions of dollars across multiple business sectors and financial markets throughout New England and beyond. The family photographs and academic awards that covered my walls weren't just mother displays, they were visual documentation of educational achievements and professional recognition that had been systematically supported through investment profits and business networks that most families had never questioned or investigated, assuming success was natural consequence of hard work rather than strategic financial planning and generational wealth management. The kitchen, where I would prepare traditional dinners for ungrateful family members, was equipped with secure communication systems that allowed me to coordinate with investment managers, business executives, and financial advisors who managed portfolio operations and strategic partnerships that determined market positioning for dozens of companies throughout the region. The dining room table where my family would soon demonstrate their true priorities had hosted strategic planning sessions with financial consultants and business development specialists who controlled investment opportunities and business partnerships that generated both community economic development and substantial returns over decades of patient wealth building and careful market analysis. My home office, which appeared to be a simple retirement workspace with basic computer equipment and traditional furniture, actually contained sophisticated financial analysis systems and communication networks that managed an investment portfolio, generating over 8 business distributions and capital gains. The filing systems that looked like typical elderly paperwork organization actually housed documentation for business partnerships, investment strategy, and financial coordination that represented 5 decades of systematic wealth building and strategic relationship development, the most competitive and regulated industry in American financial services. But beyond the physical infrastructure that supported my investment management operations, what my family completely failed to understand was that my daily routine represented the same level of strategic expertise and industry influence that had earned capital management recognition as one of New England's most successful private investment firms, consulted by institutional investors and business leaders seeking guidance on market analysis and strategic business development that affected employment and economic growth for thousands of families throughout Massachusetts, Connecticut, and Vermont. My morning schedule that my family observed during their infrequent visits included reviewing quarterly performance reports from 18 different investment managers who supervised my equity holdings and business partnerships, analyzing market data from financial databases that cost us a dividend annually to access, and coordinating with principal executives who supervised operations at companies in my portfolio that employed over 2,800 people and provided essential services for businesses and families throughout New England's economic development corridor. The phone conversations that my family heard me conducting during their brief visits weren't just social calls with elderly friends. They were strategic consultations with CFOs who specialized in corporate finance and business development, investment analysts who managed portfolio optimization and risk assessment, and business coordinators who supervised partnership agreements and strategic alliances that required coordination between institutional investors, municipal economic development authority, and regional business networks that ensured sustainable growth and employment stability. The typical retirement activities that my family witnessed during their visits were actually advanced investment management techniques that I demonstrated through the Blackwood Financial Institute, our exclusive consultation program that prepared investment professionals and business executives for leadership positions in private equity firms, institutional investment companies, and corporate financial management departments that required sophisticated understanding of market analysis, strategic business development, and sustainable wealth creation strategies that determined which investment opportunities received funding and which promising businesses successfully attracted capital and business partnership support. The Blackwood Institute was perhaps the most respected private investment education program in the Northeast, accepting only 6 participants annually through an application process more competitive than Ivy League MBA programs, and requiring extensive experience in institutional investing, corporate finance, or business development before candidates qualified for consideration. Our program alumni included chief investment officers at major pension funds, senior executives at Fortune 500 companies, founding partners at prestigious private equity firms, and business leaders who managed investment portfolios worth billions of dollars and affected economic outcomes for millions of families throughout the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic regions. Participants paid $180,000 for our intensive 8-month program, which included hands-on training in advanced portfolio management, internships at our partner companies, and personal mentorship from me and our network of investment professionals who managed institutional portfolios, corporate development programs, and business partnership networks that controlled capital allocation for major economic development projects and business expansion initiatives that created employment and community prosperity throughout New England. The waiting list for admission to the Blackwood Institute extended over 3 years, and we regularly declined applications from senior executives at Wall Street investment banks who didn't meet our standards for ethical investing, community focus, and commitment to sustainable business development that distinguished our approach from speculative trading and profit-driven investment strategies that prioritized maximum returns over business sustainability and community economic development that should guide responsible wealth management and investment coordination. What made our program unique wasn't just the training quality, it was the industry connections and career advancement opportunities that came with graduation from the most respected private investment education program in New England financial market. Blackwood Institute graduates had automatic access to executive positions at investment firms that never advertised openings, received personal recommendations from institutional fund managers and corporate board members, and could leverage our network of alumni and business partners to build careers that would be impossible to achieve through traditional financial education and industry networking that didn't provide access to the highest levels of institutional investing and corporate financial management. Michael's comfortable career trajectory, which he considered the result of personal competence and professional networking, was actually dependent on relationships with financial institutions and business networks that existed because of exclusive partnerships and strategic connections, controlled through investment success and business development, that had taken decades to establish through consistent excellence in portfolio management and corporate relationship building, that served both investor objectives and community economic development needs. Michael's position as senior financial advisor at Commonwealth Investment Group, where he earned $180,000 annually, managing client portfolios and received performance bonuses that had allowed him to purchase his beautiful home in Newton and maintain the lifestyle that attracted Sophia's interest, was actually connected to our investment network through business relationships that I had cultivated with financial services executives who provided investment management and wealth planning services for our portfolio companies and business partners. The firm's recognition of Michael's competence and his rapid advancement to senior advisor status reflected not only his professional skills, but also the institutional trust and business relationships that my investment success provided to companies seeking strategic partnerships and financial expertise. Advanced Michael's financial services career included executives and business development coordinators who understood that our family represented access to investment expertise and business partnership coordination that could provide competitive advantages in wealth management markets that require sophisticated understanding of institutional investing and corporate finance strategy. Michael's career success and industry recognition were enhanced by his family's reputation within Massachusetts' business community as representatives of successful community-focused investment management that maintained excellent performance records and client satisfaction rates. The client base that had established Michael's practice success was funded through strategic relationships with business executives and institutional investors that I had coordinated through our corporate partnership program. The high net worth individuals and business owners who sought Michael's investment advice had been connected to his services through our business network and professional recommendation, providing him with client relationships and investment management opportunities that had accelerated his transition from entry-level financial advisor to senior practice management and wealth planning specialization. But Michael's professional advancement was only the beginning of the system support that my investment network had provided to enhance their family's lifestyle and create opportunities that distinguished their suburban comfort from typical young professional families struggling with mortgage payments and career development challenges. The beautiful home in Newton where Michael and Sophia lived, which they had purchased for $1.2 million with what appeared to be conventional financing and professional income, actually been acquired through strategic financial coordination and investment assistance that I had provided through discrete wealth management and business partnership networks. The mortgage financing that had enabled their home purchase came through Meridian Trust Bank, where my strategic investment and board influence had ensured favorable lending terms and approval processes that reflected both Michael's professional qualifications and the institutional relationships that my investment success provided to families seeking residential financing in competitive Massachusetts state markets. The down payment assistance that had made their purchase possible was structured through business partnership distributions and investment returns that I had coordinated to appear as Michael's professional bonuses rather than family financial support. Their home's location in Newton's most desirable neighborhood, with access to excellent schools and community amenities that enhanced both property values and family lifestyle quality, reflected strategic real estate analysis and market positioning that I had coordinated through our commercial real estate network and municipal relationship development. The property appreciation that had increased their home equity and financial security was enhanced by community development projects and infrastructure improvements that my investment partnerships had funded and supported through regional economic development initiatives. Sophia's BMW and Michael's Audi, which they considered symbols of their professional success and financial competence, had been purchased through automotive financing arrangements coordinated with business partners who provided fleet management and executive transportation services for our portfolio companies. The favorable lease terms and vehicle upgrade opportunities that had distinguished their autumn experience from typical consumer financing reflected business relationships and partnership agreements that provided family benefits while supporting regional automotive dealers and service providers. The private club membership that Michael and Sophia enjoyed at Brookline Country Club, which provided networking opportunities and social recognition that enhanced both their professional advancement and community standing, had been arranged through business partnerships with recreational facility management companies in our investment portfolio. The membership fees and social activities that distinguished their lifestyle from other young professionals were supported through business expense coordination and partnership benefits that reflected institutional relationships rather than personal expenditure. Their children's educational opportunities, including enrollment at prestigious private schools that provided academic excellence and college preparation advantages, typically available only to wealthy families, had been funded through scholarship programs and educational foundations that I had established through strategic philanthropy and community investment initiatives. The tuition assistance and academic enrichment that distinguished their children's educational experience were provided through institutional coordination rather than family expense, ensuring exceptional educational opportunities while maintaining the appearance of typical professional family success. But perhaps the most significant aspect of the systematic support that my investment network had provided was Sophia's professional advancement and career development within Boston's competitive marketing industry. Her rapid promotion and salary increases reflected not only her professional competence but also the strategic business relationships and client connections that I had coordinated through our corporate partnership programs and business development initiatives. Sophia's position as senior marketing director at Pinnacle Consulting, where she earned $95,000 annually developing marketing strategies for technology companies and regional businesses, was actually connected to our investment network through business relationships that I had established with marketing agencies and consulting firms that provided services for our portfolio companies. The company's recognition of Sophia's marketing expertise and her advancement to director responsibilities reflected both her professional skills and the institutional trust that my business success provided to consulting firms seeking strategic partnerships and client relationship development. The client accounts that had established Sophia's marketing career included technology companies, healthcare providers, and regional businesses that were either part of our investment portfolio or strategic business partners who valued relationships with marketing professionals connected to a successful investment networks and business development coordination. Sophia's marketing success and industry recognition were enhanced by access to client relationships and business opportunities that would have been difficult to develop through conventional networking and business development activities. The professional recognition that Sophia had received through industry awards and marketing association leadership positions reflected both her creative competence and the institutional relationships that my business success had provided to marketing professionals who demonstrated excellence in business development and client relationship management. Her selection for prestigious marketing assignments and consulting opportunities was influenced by recommendations from business executives and industry leaders who valued partnerships with marketing professionals connected to a successful investment network. The marketing campaigns that had distinguished Sophia's professional portfolio included projects for technology companies developing innovative products, healthcare organizations expanding service offerings, and regional businesses implementing growth strategies that required sophisticated marketing expertise and business development coordination. These high-profile assignments provided both professional recognition and career advancement opportunities that established Sophia's reputation within Boston's competitive marketing industry. But beyond the direct career benefits that my investment success had provided to individual family members, what made their upcoming demonstration of character particularly devastating was their complete failure to understand the systematic nature of their dependence on my business network for continued professional advancement and financial security. They had never questioned why their career trajectories had been consistently smooth, why professional opportunities had always materialized at optimal timing, why financial challenges had always been resolved quickly, or why their community recognition had developed so remarkably compared to colleagues with similar qualifications and experience levels who lacked family connections to successful investment management and business partnership networks. The investment ecosystem that I had created through strategic business development and wealth management extended far beyond our immediate family to encompass hundreds of employees, dozens of business partners and investment, and multiple institutional relationships throughout Massachusetts and neighboring states. Our investment programs had created employment opportunities for financial analysts, business development specialists, administrative coordinators, and strategic planning professionals who understood that their career success was connected to the continued strength and growth of our investment network and business partnership programs that required sustained performance and strategic leadership to maintain excellence in portfolio management and community economic development. Our partnerships with regional banks throughout Massachusetts, New Hampshire, and Vermont had generated business development projects and community investment initiatives that enhanced economic growth and employment opportunities in communities that needed capital investment and business development, while providing educational opportunities and professional experience for banking professionals, loan officers, and business development specialists who gained credentials and career advancement that would benefit their professional lives throughout their careers in financial services and community economic development. The corporate partnerships that had established my reputation within New England's investment community had created a network of business executives, financial analysts, and strategic planners who understood that their ability to access capital and develop successful business expansion depended on continued partnership with investment managers who prioritized sustainable business growth and community economic development over maximum profit extraction from speculative ventures that lacked commitment to employment stability and regional prosperity. My equity investments in technology companies, conducted through partnerships with innovation incubators and business development organizations, had funded the establishment of research facilities and business development centers that provided affordable office space and strategic support for entrepreneurs, technology developers, and business service providers that created employment and innovation in communities that needed investment capital and business development support to compete in knowledge-based economic sectors. The real estate development programs that I had funded through commercial property investment and community partnership initiatives had produced neighborhood improvement projects and business facility development that reduced commercial vacancy rates while improving community economic opportunity for residents who had been underserved by traditional commercial development that prioritized suburban mall expansion over urban community investment and neighborhood business support. But the most significant aspect of my investment empire's influence was its role in determining which business development projects received capital funding and institutional support, which communities gained access to investment capital and business partnership opportunities, and which professionals received career advancement and business development access that distinguished successful wealth management from routine investment speculation that lacked commitment to long-term community prosperity and business sustainability. My relationships with institutional fund managers and corporate executives provided business development professionals and investment firms with strategic guidance about capital allocation processes and business partnership requirements that could mean the difference between successful project completion and community opposition, ended promising business development before it reached families who could benefit from employment opportunities and economic development.
The financial expertise that I had developed through 5 decades of investment management provided business leaders and institutional investors with competitive advantages that determined which projects received funding and which communities successfully attracted investment capital and business development support. The business advisory networks that I had established through corporate partnership organizations and investment coordination groups provide portfolio companies with access to strategic consulting and business development expertise necessary for maintaining competitive positioning and market leadership that was required for long-term business success and employment stability. These advisory networks represented relationships with hundreds of business professionals and industry experts who understood that their ability to provide effective business consultation and strategic planning depended on continued partnership with investment managers who prioritized business sustainability and community economic development over profit maximization and cost reduction that damaged employment and community prosperity.
The institutional relationship networks that I had developed with pension funds, insurance companies, and investment management firms throughout New England had created regional coordination systems for capital allocation and business development that maintained the region's leadership in sustainable economic growth and business innovation. These partnerships represented relationships with financial professionals and institutional managers who recognized investment expertise and sought access to strategic planning and portfolio coordination that could improve investment performance and business development outcomes for their institutional clients and community stakeholders. But my family had no idea that their comfortable professional lives and community recognition were entirely dependent on my continued involvement in investment networks and the systematic relationship building that I had coordinated through business success and institutional partnership development. Assumed that their achievements were self-made, and their career trajectories were the natural result of personal merit, rather than understanding that their remarkable professional advancement patterns reflected the kind of business networking and strategic planning that required family appreciation and respect for elderly relatives rather than taking for granted the opportunities and professional advantages that had distinguished their careers from other middle-class professionals who lacked similar family connections and investment network access. The investment management expertise and institutional relationship networks that my family attempted to ignore through their dismissive treatment of my lifestyle and financial perspectives remained protected within our consultation programs, shared only with investment professionals and business executives who demonstrated genuine respect for sustainable wealth creation and commitment to business quality that served community development, rather than exploiting financial markets for maximum profit extraction at the expense of business stability and employment security that require preservation across generations of responsible investment management. My modest townhouse in Lexington, where my family would soon demonstrate their true character, while assuming my investment responsibilities were simple retirement, actually served as the strategic coordination center for someone whose financial innovations had provided capital for thousands of jobs, created business opportunities for hundreds of entrepreneurs and professionals, and maintained investment standards through systematic commitment to business sustainability and community economic development that prepared the next generation of investment managers for increasingly complex market requirements and institutional coordination that required both analytical expertise and commitment to business quality and community prosperity. The family dinner that Sophia would use as an opportunity to reveal her assumptions about elderly financial ignorance was actually strategic preparation for investment decisions and business coordination that would require sophisticated market analysis and institutional relationship maintenance. The simple meal that I would prepare wasn't evidence of limited resources. It was practical hospitality for someone about to demonstrate whether family members deserved continued access to the investment network and business partnerships that had been supporting their lifestyle and professional advancement through strategic wealth management and community relationship development. Sometimes the most important lesson you can teach, entitled Family Members, is that investment wealth and business expertise aren't family entitlements available for career advancement and lifestyle enhancement, but private resources that belong to elderly individuals who have earned the right to determine how their life's work benefits future generations, based on demonstrated appreciation, family loyalty, and respect for traditional values that require personal sacrifice and emotional investment, rather than convenient coordination and patronizing tolerance. My family would soon learn that elderly mothers-in-law who appear to be financially outdated may actually control investment portfolios worth hundreds of millions of dollars, possess the business influence to enhance or destroy professional careers, and maintain the financial authority to determine whether young professionals deserve access to family wealth or should be excluded from business opportunities entirely based on their treatment of elderly relatives and respect for traditional family values that distinguish successful investment management from speculative wealth accumulation. The true scope of my financial empire and its influence over my family's comfortable lifestyle became most apparent through the sophisticated coordination required to maintain their prosperity, while preserving the secrecy that protected both my privacy and their assumption success was self-generated rather than systematically supported. What appeared to be simple retirement routines and modest living arrangements actually represented the operational methodology of someone whose investment decisions affected economic outcomes for thousands of families throughout New England, while coordinating business partnerships that generated both community development and the financial returns necessary to support ungrateful relatives who had never questioned the source of their remarkable opportunities and lifestyle advantage. The morning of March 12, 2024 began like countless others over the past 5 decades, with comprehensive market analysis and strategic coordination that most individual investors could never attempt or sustain. I was reviewing overnight market developments from European and Asian financial centers, analyzing currency fluctuations and commodity trends that would influence investment decisions throughout the trading day, and coordinating with portfolio managers in different time zones who managed Capital's international holdings and business partnerships. The computer systems in my home office, which appeared to be standard retirement equipment to casual observers, actually provided access to institutional trading platforms and financial analysis tools that cost over as annually and subscription fees, and required security clearances, typically reserved for major investment banks and hedge funds. These systems allowed real-time monitoring of portfolio performance across multiple asset classes and geographical markets, instant communication with business executives and fund managers throughout the global financial network, and analytical capabilities that supported investment decisions involving hundreds of millions of dollars in assets and business partnerships. My first priority each morning involved reviewing overnight reports from the 18 different investment managers who supervised specific segments of my diversified portfolio, including domestic equity holdings, international market positions, commercial real estate investment, private equity partnerships, and fixed income securities that provided both stability and growth potential across economic cycles and market conditions. These reports included detailed performance analysis, risk assessment updates, and strategic recommendations that required immediate evaluation and coordination to maintain optimal portfolio balance and investment objective. The domestic equity portfolio that formed the cornerstone of my investment strategy included controlling or significant stakes in 47 different companies throughout New England and the Mid-Atlantic region, ranging from established manufacturing firms and healthcare providers to emerging technology companies and sustainable energy developers. These investments were selected through rigorous analytical processes that evaluated not only financial performance and growth potential but also management competence, community impact, and long-term sustainability factors that distinguished responsible investment management from speculative trading and profit maximization strategy. My largest domestic holding remained the medical device manufacturing company in Springfield that had provided my first major investment success in what began as a $15,000 investment in an undervalued regional manufacturer had grown into a controlling stake worth over $23 million, and a company that now employed 82,000 people and supplied precision instruments to medical facilities throughout North America. The mathematical analysis that had identified this opportunity 4 decades earlier continued to guide investment expansion and business development that maintained both profitability and employment growth in communities that needed stable, well-paying jobs and economic development. The healthcare investment sector that had become a cornerstone of my portfolio included strategic stakes in 3 regional hospital networks, 2 pharmaceutical research companies, 4 medical technology firms, and a network of specialized healthcare providers that served communities throughout Massachusetts and neighboring states. These investments provided exposure to demographic trends and healthcare industry growth, while supporting medical innovation and healthcare service development that improved patient outcomes and reduced healthcare costs for families throughout the region. One particularly successful healthcare investment involved a biotechnology company in Cambridge that specialized in developing treatments for neurological disorders affecting elderly patients. My $4.2 million investment in 2018 had provided research funding and business development capital that allowed the company to complete clinical trials and receive FDA approval for innovative therapies that improved quality of life for Alzheimer's and Parkinson's patients, while generating returns that exceeded $18 million when the company licensed their breakthrough treatments to major pharmaceutical corporations. The technology sector investments that had accelerated portfolio growth during the past decade included strategic positions in software development companies, cybersecurity firms, artificial intelligence research, and digital infrastructure providers that served both business and consumer markets throughout the Northeast. These investments focused on established companies with proven revenue models and sustainable competitive advantages, rather than speculative startups that promised revolutionary returns but lacked viable business fundamentals and market validation. My approach to technology investing emphasized companies that solved genuine business problems and provided essential services, rather than pursuing trendy innovations that attracted media attention but lacked practical applications and profit potential. This strategy allowed participation in technology sector growth, while avoiding the catastrophic losses that eliminated billions of dollars in speculative technology investments during market corrections and investor sentiment shifts that destroyed less carefully managed portfolios. The commercial real estate portfolio that had provided steady income and capital appreciation for over 3 decades included ownership interests in 32 different properties throughout the Boston metropolitan area, including office buildings, retail centers, industrial facilities, and mixed-use developments that served diverse business needs and community requirements. These properties generated over $3.8 million annually in rental income, while appreciating at rates that consistently exceeded inflation, and provided inflation protection for the overall investment portfolio. The tenant relationships that I had cultivated through superior property management and strategic location selection included established businesses, growing companies, professional service providers, and community organizations that valued well-maintained facilities and responsive property management services. These tenant partnerships often led to additional investment opportunities as successful companies expanded and needed capital for business growth, equipment acquisition, and market development that required strategic funding and business partnership support. One of my most successful real estate developments involved the acquisition and renovation of a historic manufacturing building in Lowell that had been abandoned for over 15 years before I recognized its potential for conversion to modern office and research facility. The $8.7 million renovation project, completed in 2019, created a mixed-use facility that now houses 12 different technology companies and research organizations, providing employment for over 300 professionals, while preserving historic architecture and contributing to community revitalization and economic development. The international investment portfolio that had provided both diversification and growth opportunities included strategic positions in European financial institutions, Asian technology companies, emerging market infrastructure projects,
and global commodity investments that balanced domestic market exposure and provided protection against currency fluctuations and regional economic volatility. These international holdings represented approximately 28% of total portfolio value and required sophisticated coordination with investment managers and business partners in multiple countries and time zones. My most successful international investment involved a renewable energy company based in Denmark that specialized in offshore wind power development throughout Northern Europe. The $6.3 million investment made in 2020 provided expansion capital for innovative turbine technology and project development expertise that positioned the company as a leader in sustainable energy infrastructure, eventually generating returns exceeding $24 million as demand for clean energy solutions accelerated throughout European markets. The fixed income investments that provided portfolio stability and income generation included municipal bonds from financially stable communities throughout New England, corporate bonds from established companies in my equity portfolio, treasury securities that offered government guarantee and liquidity, and specialized debt instruments that provided enhanced yields while maintaining conservative risk profiles and capital preservation objectives. But beyond the financial assets and investment portfolios, the most significant aspect of my business empire was the network of strategic partnerships and business relationships that had been developed through 5 decades of successful investing and community involvement. These relationships provided access to investment opportunities, business intelligence, and strategic coordination that enhanced portfolio performance while contributing to regional economic development and community prosperity throughout New England. The banking relationships that formed the foundation of my financial network included board positions and strategic partnerships with 4 regional banks, including my significant stake in Meridian Trust Bank, where I served as an advisory board member and strategic consultant for investment policy and business development decisions. These banking relationships provided both investment returns and access to financial services, business intelligence, and lending coordination that supported portfolio companies and community economic development throughout the region. My role at Meridian Trust involved monthly board meetings, where I participated in strategic planning for bank operations, loan policy development, and community investment programs that determined which businesses and development projects received financing support. The analytical expertise and market knowledge that I contributed to these discussions influenced lending decisions that affected hundreds of local businesses and thousands of families who depended on access to capital for home purchases, business expansion, and educational finance. The business advisory positions that I maintained with 6 different companies in my investment portfolio required ongoing consultation on strategic planning, market analysis, and business development decisions that determined company performance and employment stability. These advisory roles provided both additional income and deep insight into business operations and market trends that enhanced investment decision-making, while supporting management development and strategic coordination for companies that needed experienced guidance and analytical expertise. One particularly rewarding advisory relationship involved a family-owned manufacturing company in Worcester that produced specialized components for aerospace and defense applications. My strategic guidance and analytical support had helped the company navigate supply chain challenges, expand into new market, and implement advanced manufacturing technologies that doubled productivity while maintaining employment levels and community involvement that distinguished responsible business development from cost-cutting strategies that prioritized profit over people and community stability. The institutional relationships that I had developed with pension funds, insurance companies, and investment management firms throughout the region provided opportunities for co-investment and strategic partnerships that enhanced portfolio diversification while supporting large-scale economic development projects and business expansion initiatives that created employment and community prosperity. These institutional partnerships represented relationships with professional fund managers and investment committees who valued strategic coordination and analytical expertise for complex investment decisions. My participation in institutional investment consortiums included involvement in major infrastructure projects, commercial real estate developments, and business acquisition initiatives that required coordination between multiple investors and sophisticated financial structure. These partnerships provided access to investment opportunities that individual investors could never pursue, while contributing expertise and analytical capabilities that enhanced project success and community benefit. The educational relationships that I had established through the Blackwood Financial Institute extended beyond formal training programs to include ongoing consultation with academic institutions, research organization, and professional development programs that prepared the next generation of investment professionals and business leaders for careers in financial services and business management. These educational partnerships provided both intellectual stimulation and access to emerging research and analytical techniques that enhanced investment decision-making and portfolio management capabilities. But perhaps the most sophisticated aspect of my business empire was the coordination required to provide systematic support for Michael and Sophia's lifestyle, while maintaining their assumption that success was self-generated, rather than carefully orchestrated, through strategic planning and business relationship management. This coordination required constant communication with business partners, investment managers, and service providers who understood the importance of maintaining confidentiality while ensuring that family members received appropriate benefits and opportunity. The financial coordination that supported Michael's career advancement included strategic consultation with Commonwealth Investment Group's management team regarding client relationship development, performance evaluation, professional advancement opportunities that reflected both Michael's competence and the institutional relationships that my investment success provided to financial services firms seeking strategic partnerships and business development support. Michael's client base development had been enhanced through discreet recommendation from business executives and institutional investors in my professional network who valued relationships with competent financial advisors connected to successful investment management and business partnership coordination. These client relationships provided Michael with portfolio management opportunities and fee generation that accelerated his career advancement while demonstrating his professional competence to colleagues and industry partners. That professional recognition that Michael had received industry awards and Financial Services Association leadership reflected both his analytical skills and the institutional credibility that my business success provided to financial advisors who demonstrated excellence in client service and investment. His selection for prestigious speaking engagements and consulting opportunities was influenced by recommendations from business leaders and investment professionals who understood the value of associating with financial advisors connected to successful investment networks. Sophia's career coordination required even more sophisticated planning and relationship management, involving strategic consultation with marketing industry executives, business development professionals, and client coordination specialists who understood the importance of providing career advancement opportunities while maintaining professional credibility and industry recognition. The business relationships that supported Sophia's marketing career included client introductions, project referrals, and professional development opportunities that enhanced her reputation and income potential. The marketing campaigns that had established Sophia's professional portfolio were coordinated through business partnerships with technology companies, healthcare organizations, and regional businesses that valued relationships with marketing professionals connected to successful investment networks and business development coordination. These client relationships provided Sophia with high-profile projects and professional recognition that distinguished her career advancement from typical marketing professionals competing in Boston's saturated consulting market. The industry recognition that Sophia had received through Marketing Association awards and professional leadership positions reflected both her creative abilities and the business relationships that my investment success provided to marketing professionals who demonstrated excellence in client service and campaign development. Her selection for prestigious marketing assignments and consulting opportunities was enhanced by recommendations from business executives and industry leaders who valued partnerships with marketing professionals connected to successful business networks. The lifestyle coordination that supported both Michael and Sophia's suburban comfort required ongoing relationships with service providers, financial institutions, and community organizations that understood the importance of providing superior service and opportunities while maintaining discretion about the underlying business coordination and strategic planning that made their advantages possible. Their home financing through Meridian Trust had been coordinated to provide optimal terms and approval processes while maintaining their assumption that success was based on personal qualifications rather than institutional relationships and strategic coordination. The mortgage terms and refinancing opportunities that they had received reflected both their professional income and the banking relationships that my investment position provided to families seeking residential financing in competitive Massachusetts real estate market. The automotive financing that supported their luxury vehicle leases was coordinated through business partnerships with automotive dealers and financing companies that provided fleet management services for portfolio companies and business partners. The favorable lease terms and upgrade opportunities that distinguished their transportation experience reflected business relationships and group purchasing power, rather than individual consumer negotiation and credit qualification. Their country club membership at Brookline had been arranged through business partnerships with recreational facility management companies and strategic relationships with club membership committees, who valued connections to successful business networks and investment coordination. The membership privileges and social opportunities that enhanced their community's standing were supported through business relationship coordination rather than personal expense and social networking. The educational opportunities that their children enjoyed at prestigious private schools reflected coordination with educational institutions and scholarship programs that I had established through strategic philanthropy and community investment initiatives. The tuition assistance and academic enrichment that distinguished their children's educational experience were provided through institutional coordination and educational foundation support rather than family tuition expense and competitive admission processes. But the most complex aspect of supporting their lifestyle while maintaining secrecy involved coordination with credit card companies, financial services providers, and luxury goods vendors, who understood the importance of providing superior service and credit terms while maintaining confidentiality about the underlying guarantee and relationship coordination that made their financial privileges possible. Sophia's platinum credit cards from 3 different financial institutions, including the primary account through Meridian Trust, carried credit limits totaling El Serengero, with favorable terms and premium benefits that reflected both her apparent income and the institutional relationships that my banking partnerships provided to cardholders connected to successful business networks. These credit privileges provided financial flexibility and lifestyle enhancement that she attributed to her professional success, rather than understanding the strategic coordination and institutional relationships that made such favorable credit terms possible. The premium shopping privileges and exclusive access that Sophia enjoyed at high-end retailers throughout Boston and Cambridge were coordinated through business relationships with luxury goods vendors and service providers who valued connections to successful investment networks and business partnership coordination. These shopping advantages provided both financial benefits and social recognition that enhanced her lifestyle and community standing. The financial services coordination that supported their banking, invest, and insurance needs required ongoing relationships with multiple institutions and service providers who understood the importance of providing superior service while maintaining discretion about the business relationships and strategic coordination that made their financial advantages possible. These relationships ensured optimal financial services while preserving their assumption that advantages were earned through personal achievement rather than systematic coordination and institutional relations. As March 12 progressed toward the evening dinner that would change everything, I completed the final coordination calls and investment decisions that maintained the sophisticated business network supporting my ungrateful family's comfortable. The irony wasn't lost on me that I was spending my afternoon ensuring their continued prosperity while they prepared to demonstrate their assumptions about my financial ignorance and technological obsolescence. The investment empire that had taken 5 decades to build and required constant coordination and strategic expertise would soon be revealed as the foundation for every advantage and opportunity they considered evidence of their own professional competence and modern financial savvy. The elder mother-in-law they were about to dismiss as useless and outdated controlled enough wealth and business influence to transform their affluent suburban lifestyle into a cautionary tale about respecting family relationships and appreciating the elderly relatives whose life achievements had created opportunities that most young professionals could never access or achieve through individual effort alone.
The evening of March 12, 2024, would become the most expensive dinner conversation in my family's history, transforming 3 hours of casual family time into a masterclass about the catastrophic consequences of underestimating elderly relatives, whose quiet dignity conceals financial empires capable of instantly transforming comfortable suburban lifestyles into cautionary tales about respect, gratitude, and the importance of treating family relationships as precious privileges rather than convenient obligations that successful professionals can manage through patronizing tolerance and occasional courtesy visits. Michael and Sophia arrived at my modest Lexington townhouse at 6 driving their matching luxury vehicles and dressed in the expensive casual wear that they considered appropriate for visiting elderly relatives who lived simply and presumably understood nothing about modern financial management or contemporary lifestyle expectations. Their conversation during the short walk from their cars to my front door, which I observed through the living room window, revealed the dismissive assumptions and coordinated strategy that would soon trigger consequences more devastating than they could possibly imagine. Remember, we need to be patient with Mom's old-fashioned ideas about money and technology, Sophia instructed Michael while adjusting her designer handbag and checking her appearance in her phone's camera. She comes from a different generation that doesn't understand modern financial planning or digital banking, so we shouldn't expect her to relate to our lifestyle or professional challenges. Michael nodded with the resigned tolerance of someone managing elderly accommodation rather than participating in family relationships that require genuine respect and emotional investment. Just smile and be polite when she starts talking about savings accounts and traditional retirement planning, he responded while straightening his expensive watch and preparing for what he obviously considered an obligatory family performance. We can discuss our real financial strategies and investment decisions after we leave. Their approach to our family dinner revealed the systematic condescension and elderly dismissal that had been developing throughout their 3-year marriage, where successful young professionals had gradually positioned themselves as financially sophisticated adults, managing elderly relatives who represented outdated thinking and limited understanding of contemporary wealth management and professional advancement opportunities. They assumed that their comfortable lifestyle and career success demonstrated superior financial knowledge compared to elderly family members whose modest living arrangements and traditional perspectives obviously indicated limited resources and obsolete economic understanding. The dining room that welcomed them that evening was set with my grandmother's china and crystal stemware, traditional linens and silver service that reflected appreciation for family heritage and timeless elegance rather than modern entertainment trends and contemporary status displays. The simple but elegant table setting, fresh flowers from my garden, and carefully prepared traditional meal represented the same attention to quality and enduring value that had guided my investment philosophy for 5 decades, emphasizing substance over appearance and sustainable excellence over temporary fashion trends. The dinner conversation began with conventional family updates and polite inquiries about work responsibilities and social activities that allowed Michael and Sophia to demonstrate their professional success and lifestyle achievements, while maintaining the charitable tolerance that characterized their approach to elderly relatives and family obligation management. Their updates about client achievements, and professional recognition revealed both their genuine accomplishments and their assumption that such success distinguished them from family members whose traditional lifestyles obviously indicated limited opportunities and modest achievements. Business has been fantastic this quarter, Michael announced while describing client acquisitions and portfolio management success that he attributed to his analytical skills and professional networking rather than understanding the institutional relationships and business coordination that had enhanced his career advancement. I've been managing some significant portfolios and helping clients navigate complex investment decisions that require sophisticated financial analysis and market expertise, that she considered evidence of her creative abilities and business acumen rather than recognizing the systematic support and client coordination that had distinguished her career trajectory from other marketing professionals competing in Boston's saturated consulting market. I've been leading some major campaigns for technology companies and healthcare organizations, she explained with obvious satisfaction about achievements that demonstrated her professional competence and industry recognition. Their description of recent lifestyle acquisitions and social activities revealed both their prosperity and their assumption that such advantages were natural consequences of professional excellence, rather than systematic support that most young professionals could never access or maintain through individual effort alone. The vacation plan home improvement and luxury purchases that they described with casual confidence reflected financial security and lifestyle expectations that they had internalized as permanent features of their professional success, rather than privileges that required appreciation and family relationship maintenance. But as dinner progressed toward the dessert course and coffee service, the conversation gradually shifted toward topics that would reveal their true assumptions about my financial understanding and technological competence, triggering the confrontation that would transform their comfortable assumptions into the most expensive miscalculation of their lives about elderly relatives and family wealth dynamics. The catalyst for everything that followed came when Sophia noticed my traditional checkbook and cash management system on the side table near the dining room, where I had left financial materials from my afternoon coordination with portfolio managers and investment advisors. Her observation of these conventional financial tools triggered a condescending lecture about modern banking and digital financial management that revealed her fundamental assumptions about elderly technological limitations and financial sophistication. Eleanor, I couldn't help but notice you're still using paper checks and cash for your financial management, Sophia announced with the patronizing sympathy of someone providing educational assistance to elderly relatives who obviously struggled with contemporary financial systems. You know, there are much more efficient ways to handle banking and bill paying using online systems and mobile applications that would make your life so much easier and more secure. Her tone carried the charitable patience of a successful professional explaining modern conveniences to elderly family members who had been left behind by technological advancement and contemporary financial innovation. She obviously assumed that my traditional financial materials indicated limited resources and outdated management methods, rather than understanding that institutional investment coordination often required conventional documentation and security protocols that digital systems couldn't provide. Michael and I use exclusively digital banking and investment management, Sophia continued while retrieving her smartphone to demonstrate the applications and financial tools that she considered evidence of superior financial sophistication. Everything is automated and optimized for maximum efficiency. We can monitor our accounts, transfer funds, pay bills, and coordinate investments instantly from anywhere. It's amazing how much time and effort you could save by modernizing your financial management approach. Michael joined the technological education session with equally condescending enthusiasm, explaining digital investment platforms and automated financial services that he assumed would benefit elderly relatives who obviously lacked access to contemporary wealth management tools and professional financial coordination. Mom, you could really benefit from online banking and investment management platforms that provide real-time market analysis and portfolio optimization, he suggested while demonstrating applications that he considered sophisticated financial technology. But their educational presentation of modern financial management systems revealed not only their assumptions about my technological limitations, but also their complete ignorance about the scope and complexity of investment operations that required institutional-grade systems and professional coordination far beyond consumer bank applications and retail investment platforms. They assumed that their digital banking convenience and investment applications represented financial sophistication, rather than understanding that serious wealth management required professional tools and institutional relationships that most individual investors could never access or afford. The thing is, Eleanor, Sophia continued with increasing condescension, your generation just doesn't understand how inefficient and risky traditional financial management has become in today's digital economy. Cash and checks are basically obsolete for people who understand modern financial planning and want to maximize their investment potential and security. Her lecture about financial modernization and technological efficiency revealed both her genuine belief in contemporary financial systems and a complete failure to understand that the traditional tools she was dismissing were actually components of sophisticated institutional coordination that generated more wealth in a single quarter than she would earn throughout her entire professional career. She assumed that visible financial tools indicated total financial capability, rather than recognizing that serious wealth management required discretion and security protocols that prevented casual observation and technological vulnerability. The conversation reached its turning point when Sophia decided to offer specific financial advice and modernization assistance that would demonstrate her superior understanding of contemporary wealth management and her charitable concern for elderly relatives who obviously needed guidance about efficient financial systems and investment opportunities. Michael and I have been discussing your financial situation, Sophia announced with the confident authority of someone providing professional consultation to family members who needed strategic guidance and contemporary financial education. We realize that you're probably living on a fixed income from your teacher's pension and Social Security, and we want you to know that we're concerned about your financial security and retirement planning. The assumption that I was struggling with retirement financial management on limited resources revealed their complete misreading of both my lifestyle choices and financial capability, treating modest living arrangements as evidence of financial limitation, rather than understanding that discretion and traditional values often characterize the wealthiest individuals who prioritize substance over appearance and long-term value over status display and conspicuous consumption. We've been thinking that you might benefit from some financial planning assistance and investment guidance. Michael added with obvious coordination and family discussion about elderly care management and financial support strategy. There are some excellent retirement planning services and conservative investment options that could help you optimize your limited resources and ensure long-term financial security during your golden years. But the conversation that would trigger everything that followed came when Sophia decided to offer the ultimate demonstration of her financial sophistication and charitable concern for elderly relatives who obviously needed modern financial education and professional guidance about contemporary wealth management systems and investment opportunities. The truth is, Eleanor, Sophia began with the firm kindness of someone delivering difficult but necessary education to elderly relatives who needed reality-based financial guidance. You're just too old and useless to understand modern finance. Your generation simply can't adapt to digital banking, automated investment systems, and contemporary financial planning that require technological competence and analytical sophistication that, frankly, you just don't possess anymore. The words "too old and useless to understand modern finances" hung in the air like a death sentence for everything she valued about her comfortable lifestyle and professional success, though she had no idea that her cruel declaration had just triggered consequences that would transform her from affluent suburban professional to financially devastated cautionary tale within 48 hours of her elderly dismissal and family disrespect. I know this sounds harsh. Sophia continued with obviously rehearsed determination to deliver financial reality to elderly relatives who needed contemporary education. But someone needs to tell you that your traditional approach to money management is not only inefficient but actually dangerous in today's financial environment. You need to accept, that you're not capable of understanding modern financial systems and let people who actually understand contemporary wealth management help you make better decisions. Her lecture about financial incapacity and elderly limitation revealed both her genuine belief in her own financial sophistication and her complete ignorance about the investment empire that had been supporting every aspect of her comfortable lifestyle for 8 years. While she assumed that success was self-generated, rather than systematically coordinated through institutional relationships, strategic wealth management that required analytical expertise far beyond consumer financial applications and retail investment platforms. Michael's support for Sophia's financial education efforts revealed his agreement with her assessment of elderly financial limitations and his assumption that their professional success demonstrated superior financial understanding compared to elderly relatives whose traditional lifestyles obviously indicated limited resources and outdated financial management approaches. "Sophia's right, Mom," he added with reluctant but necessary honesty about elderly capabilities and modern financial requirements. "Technology and financial systems have evolved beyond what your generation can understand or manage effectively." The silence that followed their coordinated financial education and elderly assessment would become the most expensive pause in their lives. As they waited for my response to their charitable diagnosis and modernization recommendations, while completely unaware that they had just insulted the woman whose quiet phone calls could transform and combined credit limits into declined transactions for coffee purchases and whose investment decisions affected their mortgage payments, car leases, professional advancement, and every aspect of the suburban comfort they considered evidence of their own financial competence. "I appreciate your concern about my financial management," I responded with the calm dignity of someone who had spent 5 decades building wealth through patience and strategic thinking, while ungrateful family members demonstrated their true character and revealed their assumptions about elderly relatives and traditional values. "However, I think there may be some misunderstanding about my financial situation and capabilities that we should clarify before this conversation continues." The request for clarification clearly puzzled both Michael and Sophia, who assumed that elderly relatives who lived modestly and used traditional financial tools obviously had limited resources and simple financial arrangements that contemporary professionals could easily understand and evaluate. They expected acknowledgement of their financial expertise and gratitude for their modernization assistance, rather than suggestions that their assessment might be incomplete or inaccurate. I continued while reaching for the portfolio materials that I had prepared for exactly this situation. "Is that your assumptions about my financial limitations and technological incompetence are based on incomplete information about my actual resources and business relationships that might surprise you more than you anticipate?" The legal documents and financial statements that I placed on the dining room table represented just a fraction of my investment portfolio and business network documentation, but they provided sufficient detail to demonstrate the scope and sophistication of wealth management operations that had been coordinating their comfortable lifestyle while they assumed success was self-generated rather than systematically supported through institutional relationships and strategic plans. "These documents show my current investment portfolio and business partnerships," I explained while they processed the numbers and institutional names that contradicted everything they had assumed about my financial situation and technological capabilities. Capital Management currently oversees investments worth approximately $127 million across domestic and international markets, including controlling interests in 47 companies, strategic partnerships with regional financial institutions, business relationships that generate over $8.7 million annually, and returns and management fees. The shock that registered on their faces as they reviewed portfolio statements and business partnership agreements revealed their immediate understanding that the elderly relative they had dismissed as financially incapable actually controlled wealth and business influence that exceeded their combined lifetime earning potential by several orders of magnitude.
while maintaining the discretion and traditional values that characterized serious wealth management, rather than conspicuous consumption and status display. But perhaps more relevant to your current situation, I continued while presenting the specific documents that detailed their systematic dependence on my business network and financial coordination. Are these records showing how my investment activities and business relationships have been supporting your comfortable lifestyle and professional advancement since your marriage 3 years ago? The documentation that revealed their complete financial dependence included mortgage coordination through Meridian Trust Bank, automotive financing through business partnership arrangements, professional advancement through strategic business relations, country club membership through institutional coordination, and credit account management through banking partnerships that had provided favorable terms and enhanced credit limits based on institutional guarantees rather than personal qualifications and individual creditworthiness. Your mortgage financing, credit accounts, professional opportunities, and lifestyle advantages have been coordinated through my business network and institutional relations. I explained while they realized that their financial security and professional success had been dependent on the elderly relative they had just insulted and dismissed as technologically obsolete. The banking relationships, business partnerships, and institutional coordination that made your comfortable lifestyle possible were maintained through the same traditional financial management and strategic planning that you just characterized as useless and outdated. Michael's review of business partnership documentation revealed his immediate understanding that his career advancement at Commonwealth Investment Group had been enhanced through strategic relationships and institutional coordination that existed because of my investment success and business network influence, rather than solely through his individual professional competence and analytical capability. His client-based development, performance recognition, and advancement opportunities had been systematically supported through business relationships that required continued family appreciation and respect for traditional values. Sophia's examination of the credit account coordination and business relationship documentation revealed her complete dependence on banking partnerships and institutional relationships that had provided her platinum credit cards, favorable terms, and enhanced credit limits based on institutional guarantees and business coordination, rather than her personal income and creditworthiness evaluation. Her comfortable lifestyle and professional recognition had been systematically supported through business networks that required family loyalty and elderly respect, rather than condescending dismissal and technological education. The credit accounts that you use for your lifestyle maintenance and professional activities, I continued while presenting the specific banking coordination documents that detailed their financial dependence, are managed through Meridian Trust Bank, where my strategic investment and board position have ensured favorable terms and enhanced credit limits based on institutional relationships rather than individual qualification and credit assessment. The banking documentation that I provided included detailed records of institutional guarantees and business relationship coordination that had supported their financial privileges and credit advantages for 3 years, while they assumed that favorable terms and enhanced limits reflected their personal qualification and professional success rather than systematic coordination. Institutional relationships that required family appreciation and respect for elderly relatives. Your combined credit limits of $75,000, I explained while they processed the implications of their complete financial dependence on institutional relationships they had never understood or appreciate exist because of banking partnerships and strategic coordination that can be modified or terminated based on family relationships and demonstrated respect for traditional values and elderly family members. The immediate consequences of their elderly dismissal and financial education began within hours of our dinner conversation, as I coordinated with banking partners and business associates to implement the systematic withdrawal of institutional support and relationship coordination that had been maintaining their comfortable lifestyle and professional advantages for 3 years, while they assumed success was permanent and self-generated rather than carefully orchestrated through strategic planning and family relationship maintenance.
My first phone call went to James Morrison, Senior Vice President at Meridian Trust Bank, whose institutional relationship with EB Capital Management provided the foundation for all of Michael and Sophia's banking privileges and credit coordination. James, I need to discuss some changes to the institutional guarantees and relationship coordination that we've been providing for my family members, I explained while reviewing their account documentation and credit arrangement detail. Of course, Eleanor, James responded with the professional attention that my significant investment position and board advisory role commanded within the bank's strategic decision-making process. What kind of modifications are we looking at for the account relationships and credit coordination? I want all institutional guarantees removed from Michael Blackwood and Sophia Blackwood's accounts, effective immediately, I instructed while providing specific account numbers and relationship coordination. Their credit limits should be adjusted to reflect their individual qualifications and income verification without any institutional support or relationship coordination. The banking system changes that James coordinated throughout the overnight processing period included complete removal of institutional guarantees and relationship coordination benefits that had supported enhanced credit limits and favorable account terms for 3 years. Their credit limits were recalculated based solely on individual income verification and standard creditworthiness assessment, without institutional support or banking relationship. Sophia's primary credit account through Meridian Trust, which had maintained a $35,000 credit limit based on institutional coordination and relationship benefits, was immediately reduced to $3,500 based on her individual income and standard credit assessment protocol. Her secondary accounts through other financial institutions were similarly adjusted when institutional guarantee removal was processed through interbank coordination and credit reporting system update. Michael's credit accounts experienced parallel reductions as institutional guarantees and relationship coordination benefits were systematically removed from all banking partnerships and financial service arrangements. His primary account credit limit dropped from $28,000 to $4,200 based on individual qualification assessment, while business credit coordination and professional networking benefits were terminated through institutional relations. Their mortgage account at Meridian Trust remained active, but lost all refinancing privileges and favorable term coordination that had been provided through institutional relationships and business partnership benefit. Future mortgage coordination would be processed through standard banking procedures without institutional support or relationship coordination and advantages that had distinguished their previous banking experience. My second series of phone calls, coordinated with business partners and professional network associates to implement systematic removal of career advancement support and professional relationship benefits that had enhanced Michael and Sophia's career trajectories and business development opportunities throughout their marriage and professional advancement. Sarah Chen, Managing Director at Commonwealth Investment Group, received detailed explanation about relationship and professional support termination that would affect Michael's client relationship coordination and business development assistant. Sarah, the institutional relationships and business partnership benefits that have supported Michael's career advancement need to be terminated effective immediately, I explained while reviewing professional coordination documentation and client relationship benefit. I understand, Eleanor, Sarah responded with professional acknowledgement of the institutional relationship changes and business partnership bonifications that would affect Michael's professional standing and client development opportunity. We'll process the relationship modifications and adjust his professional coordination accordingly. The business relationship changes that Sarah implemented included termination of client referral coordination,
removal of institutional networking benefit, an elimination of professional development support that had distinguished Michael's career advancement from other financial advisors competing for client relationships and business development opportunities. His client base would be maintained based on individual performance and professional competence, without institutional support or relationship coordination. Similar professional relationship modifications were coordinated with Pinnacle Consulting Management regarding Sophia's career advancement support and client relations. The business partnership benefits and professional networking advantages that had enhanced her marketing career were systematically terminated through institutional relationship changes and business coordination modifications. Rebecca Walsh, senior partner at Pinnacle Consulting, coordinated the removal of client referral benefits and business relationship advantages that had supported Sophia's marketing career advancement and professional recognition throughout her employment with the consulting firm. Will adjust Sophia's client coordination and professional support to reflect standard employment relationships without institutional partnership benefits, Rebecca confirmed while processing the business relationship. The automotive financing coordination that had provided favorable lease terms and upgrade opportunities for both Michael and Sophia's luxury vehicles was terminated through business partnership bonification and institutional relationship changes. Their current lease agreements remained valid, but future automotive financing would be processed through standard consumer credit assessment without business partnership benefits or institutional coordination advantages.
The country club membership coordination that had provided social recognition and networking opportunities was modified through institutional relationship changes and business partnership termination. Their membership status was converted to individual qualification and standard membership fees without institutional support or business relationship benefits that had distinguished their club privileges and social opportunities. The educational coordination that had supported their children's private school enrollment and academic enrichment opportunities was terminated through foundation relationship modification and institutional support removal. Their children's current academic year remained unaffected, but future educational coordination would require individual family funding without institutional support or educational foundation benefits. But the most immediate and devastating consequence of their elderly dismissal and financial education was the systematic credit account modification and banking relationship termination that transformed their comfortable financial flexibility into immediate financial constraint and lifestyle limitation that revealed their complete dependence on institutional coordination they had never understood or appreciated. The first indication that their financial world was collapsing came when Sophia attempted to purchase coffee at her favorite Boston cafe on March 13th, less than 18 hours after calling me too old and useless to understand modern finances. Her Platinum credit card, which had provided unlimited purchasing flexibility and premium account benefits for 3 years, was declined for a $4.50 transaction that should have been automatically approved without consideration or verification. "I'm sorry, but your card has been declined," the barista explained with apologetic confusion about the payment failure for a routine transaction from a regular customer whose credit card had never experienced approval problems or payment processing issues. Sophia's attempt to use her backup credit card from a different financial institution produced identical results. Institutional guarantee removal and relationship coordination termination had been processed through interbank communication and credit reporting system updates that affected all of her credit accounts and banking relationships simultaneously. The immediate financial constraint that Sophia experienced during her routine coffee purchase was compounded when she attempted to coordinate lunch plans with business associates and discovered that her credit accounts were unable to process restaurant charges, retail purchase, or professional service payments that had been routine transactions throughout her comfortable suburban lifestyle and professional networking activities. Michael's financial limitation discovery occurred when he attempted to schedule routine automotive service for his Audi and learned that his credit accounts could no longer support the maintenance and repair expenses that had been automatically approved through automotive financing coordination and business partnership benefit. The service denial and payment processing failure revealed his immediate financial constraint and lifestyle limitation that contradicted his assumptions about permanent financial security and self-generated professional success. Their attempt to coordinate emergency credit account restoration through direct bank communication revealed the systematic nature of institutional relationship termination and the impossibility of restoring credit privileges without the business partnership benefits and institutional coordination that they had insulted and dismissed as outdated finance management and elderly technological incompetence. We've reviewed your accounts and credit history, the customer service representative at Meridian Trust explained during Michael's emergency coordination call. And your credit limits have been adjusted to reflect your individual income verification and standard creditworthiness assessment, without institutional guarantees or relationship coordination benefit. Relationships rather than individual qualification revealed their complete misunderstanding of their financial situation and the systematic coordination that had maintained their comfortable lifestyle and professional advantages for 3 years, while they assumed success was permanent, self-generated, rather than carefully orchestrated through strategic planning and family relationship maintenance. Sophia's emergency coordination with her credit card companies produced identical explanations about institutional guarantee removal and relationship coordination termination that had affected all of her banking privileges and credit account benefits. The customer service representatives confirmed that credit limit reductions and account modification were permanent changes based on individual qualification assessment, without institutional support or business relationship benefit. The professional consequences of relationship coordination termination became apparent within days of the banking system changes, as both Michael and Sophia discovered that their career advancement opportunities and business development support had been systematically eliminated through institutional relationship modification and professional networking termination. Michael's client relationship coordination and business development assistance were terminated through institutional partnership changes that affected his professional recognition and career advancement opportunities within Commonwealth Investment Group. His performance evaluation and advancement prospects were adjusted to reflect individual competence and standard professional development, without institutional support or business relationship benefits. Sophia's marketing career coordination and client relationship benefits were similarly terminated through business partnership modification and institutional relationship changes that affected her professional standing and business development opportunities within Pinnacle Consult. Her client portfolio and marketing campaign opportunities were adjusted to reflect individual performance and standard employment relationships without institutional partnership advantages. The social and community relationship consequences included termination of country club networking benefits and community organization coordination that had provided social recognition and professional networking opportunities for both Michael and Sophia's lifestyle enhancement and business development activities. 6 months after their elderly dismissal and financial education session, Michael and Sophia had experienced complete transformation from comfortable suburban professionals to financially constrained individuals struggling with reduced income, limited credit access, and social isolation that revealed their complete dependence on institutional relationships and business coordination they had never understood or appreciated. Michael's career at Commonwealth Investment Group had stagnated without institutional support and client relationship coordination, resulting in reduced income and eliminated advancement opportunities that forced reconsideration of their lifestyle expectations and financial planning assumptions. His annual income declined from $180,000 to approximately $85,000 as client relationships and business development opportunities were adjusted to reflect individual performance without institutional partnership benefits. Sophia's marketing career at Pinnacle Consulting experienced similar decline as institutional relationship benefits and client coordination advantages were terminated through business partnership modification. Her annual income was reduced from $95,000 to approximately $52,000 as client relationships and professional recognition were adjusted to reflect individual competence without institutional support or business partnership advantages. $1,000 to approximately $137,000 annually created immediate financial strain that required lifestyle modification and expense reduction to accommodate mortgage payments, automotive lease obligations, and basic living expenses without the credit flexibility and financial coordination that had supported their comfortable suburban lifestyle for 3 years. The mortgage payment challenges that resulted from income reduction and credit account limitation forced consideration of home refinancing or potential sale to accommodate reduced financial capacity and eliminated banking relationship benefits. Their beautiful Newton home, purchased with institutional coordination and favorable financing terms, became a financial burden rather than lifestyle asset when institutional support and relationship coordination. Their luxury vehicle leases became financially unsustainable without credit account flexibility and automotive financing coordination that had supported upgrade opportunities and maintenance expense management. Both Michael and Sophia were forced to consider lease termination and vehicle replacement with more affordable transportation options that reflected their reduced financial capacity and eliminated business partnership benefits. The children's educational opportunities were dramatically affected as private school tuition and academic enrichment programs became financially impossible without institutional support and educational foundation. Their children were transferred to public school systems and lost access to academic advantages and college preparation programs that had distinguished their educational experience and future advancement opportunity. The social isolation that accompanied their financial decline included loss of country club membership and community organization participation that had provided networking opportunities and social recognition throughout their comfortable suburban lifestyle. Their social activities and professional networking were reduced to reflect their modified financial capacity and eliminated institutional relationship benefits. Michael and Sophia live in a modest rental apartment in Watertown, drive used vehicles purchased with cash, and work in reduced responsibility positions that reflect their individual qualifications without institutional support or business relationship advantages that had distinguished their previous professional success and lifestyle expectations. Michael works as a junior financial analyst at a regional accounting firm, earning $1,000 annually, while processing routine financial reports and tax preparation services that require basic analytical skills without the sophisticated client relationship management and investment coordination that had characterized his previous career advancement and professional recognition. Sophia works as a marketing coordinator at a small regional business, earning $1,000 annually, while managing social media accounts and basic promotional activities that lack the strategic campaign development and client relationship coordination that had distinguished her previous marketing career and professional achievement. Their children attend public schools in Watertown and participate in standard academic programs without the enrichment opportunities and college preparation advantages that had characterized their previous educational experience and future advancement plan. Their academic achievement and development opportunities reflect individual effort and standard educational resources without institutional support or educational foundation benefit. The modest townhouse in Lexington, where they dismissed me as financially obsolete, continues serving as headquarters for EB capital management and community investment programs that have expanded throughout New England under my continued leadership and strategic coordination. The investment wealth that my ungrateful family assumed would continue supporting their lifestyle regardless of their treatment of elderly relatives now funds business development, educational opportunity, and community improvement initiatives that serve thousands of families who understand the value of respecting elderly wisdom and traditional family values. The financial empire that had taken 5 decades to build through patience, strategic thinking, and respect for traditional values continued growing and serving community development needs, while providing the satisfaction of knowing that wealth management requires family appreciation and elderly respect, rather than condescending assumptions about technological limitations and financial incapacity that distinguish entitled family members from those who deserve access to generational prosperity and institutional relationship benefits. Sometimes the most important lesson you can teach ungrateful family members is that financial sophistication isn't measured by digital banking applications and credit card convenience, but by and strategic thinking that builds sustainable wealth through patient investment in community relationship development that serves future generations who understand the value of respecting elderly relatives and traditional values that create foundation for lasting prosperity and family legacy preservation. My daughter-in-law learned that elderly mothers-in-law who appear to live simply may actually control financial empires worth hundreds of millions of dollars, possess the institutional influence to transform comfortable lifestyles into cautionary tales, and maintain authority to determine whether younger generations deserve access to generational wealth based on their treatment of elderly relatives and respect for traditional family values that require appreciation rather than dismissal from people whose financial security depends on understanding that family prosperity requires family relationships and elderly wisdom recognition. The dinner conversation that seemed like an opportunity for successful professionals to educate elderly relatives about modern financial management became the most expensive lesson of their lives about the true cost of elderly dismissal, family disrespect, and condescending assumptions to women whose investment expertise and institutional influence they couldn't comprehend or appreciate until their credit cards were declined for coffee purchases and their comfortable lifestyle disappeared along with the institutional relationships they had never understood or valued. What would you have done if family members dismissed your life achievements and called you useless while living off benefits you secretly provided? Have you ever encountered people who assumed your traditional lifestyle indicated limited capabilities while their success depended on your behind-the-scenes support and relationship coordination? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and let me know if this story has inspired you to examine your own assumptions about elderly relatives and their potential influence over your financial future, and the importance of treating family wealth and traditional wisdom with the respect and appreciation they deserve regardless of how sophisticated you believe your modern approaches and technological competence have made you. And if you found this story of financial justice and family boundary enforcement resonating with you, make sure to like this video and subscribe for more stories of people who discovered that dismissing elderly relatives and traditional values can result in consequences more expensive than they could ever imagine, and more comprehensive than justice usually provides in family relationships, where respect and appreciation determine long-term prosperity and institutional relationship access. Remember, financial sophistication isn't measured by digital convenience and modern applications. It's demonstrated through the wisdom and strategic thinking that builds sustainable wealth while maintaining family relationships and elderly respect that determine whether younger generations deserve access to generational prosperity or should learn what their lives look like without the institutional coordination and business relationships that create comfortable lifestyles through decades of patient wealth building and community relationship development that requires appreciation rather than condescending dismissal from those whose futures depend on elderly wisdom and traditional family values. 2 years have passed since that devastating March evening when Sophia learned the most expensive lesson of her life about respecting elderly relatives, and the transformation has been nothing short of extraordinary, not just in the complete reversal of my family's financial circumstances, but in the broader lesson this story has taught about the true cost of taking generational wisdom for granted and the immeasurable value of treating elderly family members with the dignity and appreciation they deserve rather than dismissive condescension and technological superiority assumption. The EB Capital Management portfolio has grown to over $145 million through strategic acquisitions and continued business development that prioritized community investment in sustainable wealth creation over speculative trading and profit maximization. Our investment network now includes controlling interests in 53 companies throughout New England, strategic partnerships with 8 regional banks, and business relationships that support over 100 jobs while maintaining the highest standards for employee treatment and community economic development that distinguish responsible wealth management from exploitative business practices. Last month, we completed construction of the Blackwood Community Investment Center in Springfield. a $112 million facility that provides business development support, financial education programs, and entrepreneurship training for working families and small business owners who understand the value of traditional business ethics and community relationship building. The center includes educational facilities, business incubation space, and meeting rooms where local entrepreneurs can access capital funding and strategic guidance for business development projects that serve community needs while generating sustainable returns and employment opportunity. Most satisfying aspect of this development isn't the economic impact or community recognition, it's the bronze plaque in the lobby that reads, "Dedicated to families who understand that respect for elderly wisdom and traditional values creates the foundation for generational prosperity." Community strength. Every business owner who receives funding and strategic support through our programs sees that reminder about the importance of honoring family relationships and maintaining the values that distinguish successful wealth building from entitled assumptions about financial security and professional achievement. My personal transformation from dismissed elderly relative to respected community leader has exceeded even my own expectations for what strategic wealth management could accomplish when guided by traditional values and community focus rather than personal aggrandizement and status display. The modest townhouse in Lexington has been supplemented by a beautiful estate in Concord that serves as both family sanctuary and business headquarters, with guest facilities specifically designed for elderly relatives who deserve comfort and dignity rather than patronizing tolerance, and technological education from ungrateful family members who mistake digital convenience for financial sophistication. The estate includes a memorial garden dedicated to my grandmother Catherine, whose modest $50,000 inheritance became the foundation for everything that followed, and where I spend quiet mornings reflecting on the journey that brought us to this point, while planning the next phase of community investment and business development that will benefit families throughout Massachusetts for generations to come. The garden features a fountain engraved with Catherine's favorite saying, "True wealth isn't what you accumulate for yourself, it's what you create for others and how you treat the people who made your opportunities possible." But perhaps the most meaningful transformation has been watching families and business owners who received support through our investment programs thrive under leadership that prioritizes sustainable business development and community prosperity over maximum profit extraction and cost reduction strategies that sacrifice employment stability for shareholder return. Our portfolio companies maintain employee satisfaction ratings above 94%, with workers choosing long-term career development because they understand they're working for businesses managed by people who respect both their contributions and the traditional values that create sustainable prosperity. The ripple effects of treating people with dignity and maintaining traditional business ethics have created a network of community advocates and business leaders who share our values and contribute to continued expansion of responsible business practices throughout Massachusetts. Municipal leaders, business development, organization, and community groups seek partnerships with our investment network because they know our projects will serve community needs while maintaining the highest standards for business ethics and employee treatment that distinguish sustainable wealth creation from speculative profit maximization. Michael and Sophia's current situation serves as a powerful reminder of the consequences that follow when people prioritize personal convenience over family relationships and assume elderly relatives will continue providing support regardless of treatment received. Social isolation within Massachusetts professional communities have become a cautionary tale about the importance of respecting elderly relatives and maintaining traditional family values that determine access to generational wealth and community influence that most families never understand. It's too late to matter. Michael's position as junior financial analyst at Regional Accounting Services has become permanent employment, with no prospects for advancement or return to wealth management careers that require institutional relationships and professional networking. He destroyed early dismissal and family disrespect.
His current salary of $78,000 provides basic living expenses, but none of the lifestyle advantages or professional recognition he had enjoyed when family connections supported his career advancement and business development opportunities. Sophia's marketer role at Valley Business Solutions provides steady but limited income, with no opportunity for creative leadership or strategic campaign development that had distinguished her previous career when institutional relationships and client coordination enhanced her professional advancement. Industry recognition. Her current responsibilities include routine social media management and basic promotional activities that lack the sophisticated business development and client relationship coordination that had elevated her previous marketing achievements. Their children's educational experience at Watertown Public Schools reflects the dramatic change in family circumstances and academic opportunities. While the schools provide competent education and dedicated teachers, the enrichment programs, college preparation advantages, and academic resources that had distinguished their previous private school experience are no longer available without the institutional support and educational foundation coordination that had created exceptional learning opportunities and advancement preparation. The most poignant aspect of their situation is watching their children adapt to reduced circumstances and limited opportunities that could have been avoided if their parents had understood the value of respecting elderly relatives and maintaining family relationships that required personal sacrifice and emotional investment, rather than convenient coordination and patronizing tolerance that demonstrated their true character during family interactions and relationship maintenance. However, my story isn't just about consequences and justice, it's also about redemption and the possibility that future generations learn from their parents' mistakes and choose different approaches to family relationships and elderly respect that could restore their access to community influence and educational opportunities that traditional family values create for those who demonstrate appropriate appreciation and loyalty to elderly relatives and generational wisdom. Last month, Michael's teenage son James contacted me directly to apologize for his family's treatment during our final dinner and to express genuine interest in learning about investment management and community service that could restore their family's reputation within Massachusetts business community. His letter demonstrated maturity and family values that his parents had failed to model, and it opened the possibility that the next generation might understand the importance of respecting elderly relatives and maintaining traditional values that distinguish responsible wealth management from entitled inheritance expectations and elderly dismissal. The scholarship fund that established for young people who demonstrate respect for elderly relatives and commitment to community service has already provided educational opportunities for 28 students whose families understand the value of intergenerational relationships and traditional values that create foundations for academic achievement and professional success. These scholarships represent hope that future generations will learn from my family's mistakes and choose family loyalty over professional convenience when facing decisions about elderly relatives and community service obligations. Investment education programs that we offer through the Blackwood Institute now include mandatory coursework on family values and community responsibility that ensures our graduates understand the human relationships and ethical obligations that distinguish responsible wealth management. Exploitative business practices that prioritize profit over people and community development. These educational requirements have created a new generation of investment professionals who prioritize sustainable business development and community prosperity while maintaining respect for the traditional values and elderly wisdom that built their industry. My legacy won't be measured just in portfolio performance or business success, but in the families who learn to prioritize relationships over career advancement, and the communities that benefit from investment management, guided by respect for traditional values and commitment to sustainable prosperity that serves human needs, rather than profit maximization and status accumulation. The thousands of families who benefit from our business development programs, educational initiatives, and community investment projects represent the true value of wealth managed with appreciation for the elderly relatives and traditional values that created opportunities for responsible business development and community service. As I write this final chapter from my beautiful Concord estate, surrounded by gardens that honor my grandmother's memory and community awards that recognize our investment success and business ethics, I'm reminded that the most important inheritance isn't money or property, it's the values and relationships that determine how wealth serves future generations and community improvement, rather than individual accumulation and family exploitation that destroys the foundations for sustainable prosperity and community development. The family members who dismissed me during that painful dinner conversation lost more than financial support. They lost opportunity to participate in community development that serves thousands of families and creates generational prosperity for those who understand that real success requires respecting elderly relatives and maintaining traditional values that distinguish responsible wealth management from entire assumptions about permanent financial security and self-generated professional achievement that ignores the systematic support and relationship coordination that made comfortable lifestyles possible. But perhaps the most important lesson from this experience is that elderly dismissal and
disrespect aren't just personal failures. They represent fundamental misunderstanding about the nature of wealth creation and the importance of community relationships that sustain prosperity across generations and economic cycles. The financial sophistication that Sophia claimed to possess, actually technological convenience, that masked complete ignorance about the strategic thinking and relationship building that create sustainable wealth and community influence through decades of patient investment and ethical business development. The traditional financial management that they dismissed as outdated actually represented institutional-grade wealth coordination that required analytical expertise, strategic thinking, and relationship maintenance, far beyond consumer banking applications and retail investment platforms that provide convenience without substance or community impact. The paper checks and cash management systems that triggered their condescending lecture were components of sophisticated financial operations that generated more wealth in a single quarter than they would earn throughout their entire professional careers. Sometimes the greatest gift you can give ungrateful family members is the opportunity to learn that respect for elderly relatives isn't optional social obligation. It's the foundation for generational prosperity and community influence that determines whether families build lasting legacies or destroy opportunities through selfishness and elderly exploitation that reveals character when it matters most. The dignity and traditional values that guide sustainable wealth creation require family appreciation and community commitment that distinguish responsible investment management from speculative profit-seeking and status accumulation. The modest lifestyle choices and traditional preferences that my family interpreted as evidence of limited capabilities actually reflected the discretion and value priorities that characterize serious wealth management and community responsibility. The greatest financial sophistication isn't demonstrated through digital convenience and consumption display, but through the wisdom and strategic thinking that builds sustainable prosperity while maintaining family relationships and community commitment that serve future generations and preserve traditional values across economic cycles and social changes. My investment empire continues growing, serving community development needs, while providing the satisfaction of knowing that wealth management requires wisdom and character rather than technological convenience and professional credentials that mean nothing without the ethical foundation and relationship commitment that distinguish sustainable prosperity from temporary financial accumulation that disappears when market conditions change or family relationships deteriorate. Remember, true financial sophistication isn't measured by credit limits and digital applications. It's demonstrated through the wisdom and strategic Thinking that builds sustainable wealth while maintaining family relationships and elderly respect that determine whether younger generations deserve access to generational prosperity or should learn what their lives look like without the institutional coordination and community relationships, create comfortable lifestyles through decades of patient wealth building and traditional value preservation that requires appreciation rather than condescending dismissal from those whose futures depend on elderly wisdom and family legacy maintenance. The elderly relatives you dismiss as technologically obsolete may actually control the financial institutions that determine your credit limits, the business networks that influence your career advancement, and the investment decisions that affect your community's economic development. Treat family relationships as the precious privileges they are, because the consequences of elderly disrespect can be more expensive than you could ever imagine and more lasting than you could ever repair. Up next, you've got two more standout stories right on your screen. If this one hit the mark, you won't want to pass these up, just click and check them out. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any upload from us.